Well, it's time for episode 404 of the 3 Point Podcast. We're presented, as always, by the Memorial Healthcare Wellness Center, top of the line workout equipment, sauna, steam room, and so much more. It's the Memorial Healthcare Wellness Center. Our other great partners include AZee Branding Solutions, Blackstone's Public House, Great Lakes Apparel Company, Kori Shook and Associates Real Estate Services, Nelson House Funeral Homes, Nichols Painting, Success Group Mortgage and Servicing, Shiawassee County Fair and ALS of Michigan. By the way, Kori Shook and Associates had their brand new open house this last week, and I guess it was just a fantastic day for Kori and the gang, man. Congrats for turning that old Matthews building into maybe the gem of downtown Owasso, right at the main intersection. Congrats to her and her whole crew, man.
Yeah, I was wondering if the flooding would mess with that at all, or that type of thing. But it looked awesome. Ironically, from some of the video I saw, the flooding in downtown, as I saw that building and how awesome it looks. So yeah, I'm with you. I think it is probably the gem of downtown Owasso now.
Right on the river. Also, by the way, our sponsor, Spotlight Jacobs Insurance Agency, locally owned and operated. They live and work in this area and offer a wide variety of policies for home, businesses, and vehicles. Proud sponsor of the Prep Spotlight. We'll have that coming up here in the program shortly. Our special guest, Brian Maloney of radio station Sonic Detroit. He'll be joining us in just a few minutes. But before we do, guys, I'm dragging ass today, man. I mean, we had a major storm brew through here last night. I was on the road to Washington, D.C. area visiting the couple granddaughters. We got home yesterday, looked at the forecast. I just had some body work done on my car. You know, I told you about the big dent I got. Yeah. And I told my wife, sorry, honey, I'm going to park the car in the garage because they're predicting hail. And about 12 midnight last night, both of our phones just blasted with a tornado warning in our area. So we hit the basement, and I was telling Matt off air, there's something about a major storm. You know, I opened up the basement door and was just watching the activity outside. I mean, we were basically right in the middle of tornado type weather. The wind was whipping, lightning just flashing everywhere. Power went out. It was just crazy. But you guys agree, man? There's something about seeing a major storm in action.
Oh, it is cool. The thunder and the lightning. Yeah, when it knocks power out, if it extends for a couple days or a few days, you know, that's no fun. But watching the storm is cool. I know we've talked about up in Ludington, you know, when a storm rolls in over the Great Lakes, over Lake Michigan, that's really cool to watch. You can you can see it coming. Right. So that's really cool. But yeah, I don't know. Is that Jared, have you caught on to watching storms yet now that you're growing older?
Kind of in
I remember from a couple years ago when I was in Royal Oak, basically, it was fun watching this storm until it literally was like, I was like worried for my safety and for my life. When we had the vertical winds where it took down a 80-year-old tree in the front yard that I was renting. And it was like, we were out without power in the middle of summer for like 4 days. And I just remember, we all have that. It is cool. I agree. I do like watching storms. But then after about a few minutes, I'm like, dude, I seriously need to go sit in the closet. Like, this is terrifying. It's gonna when that tree fell and it had that loud crash, I seriously thought it hit the house and squished a corner of the house. Luckily, it didn't. It just fell right in front of the house. But storms are wild. It's pretty amazing when you think, how did people survive this back in the day? And it's also you'll see videos of I saw maybe it was a week or two ago where it was the whole sky was red, where you can imagine if you were in the 1500s or whatever, you would probably think this is a sign from the gods or something, if you saw this. So
well, especially back then you weren't getting an alert on your phone that this was coming, so you're just enjoying your day, and then all of a sudden the wind is going vertical, ripping trees out of the ground.
I read this book about presidents by Bill O'Reilly. Basically, he tells something about each president, maybe 10 pages or so, and you wouldn't be I swear the first 10 presidents all died because they were out on horseback and got caught in a snowstorm, and that's how they died. And they came back and they had a cold and they never recovered.
Yeah.
So exactly what you're saying. They had no idea to know. You go out, next thing you know, you're getting bombarded with snow and you're dead.
Yeah. What an invention, man, to have this alert on your cell phone. Both my wife and I it's just a piercing alarm. I jumped out of bed. I says, come on, let's hit the basement. It's a tornado warning. So that was crazy. Getting away from the storm for a second, though. We didn't rehearse this, but I got to say this right now. young fellow there, Jared. First of all, I have to congratulate you on that video you put together for Freeland's basketball team. It was spectacular. I know everybody up there really appreciated it. It was very well done. A video of their whole season. It was about 6 minutes long with the way you chopped it up at the beginning with some song, and then the one shining moment. But I have one question for you. And again, kudos to put that together. How many man hours did that take?
Not
you?
that well,
Wasn't
honestly,
that bad?
what was nice is from the Freeland moms and honestly, my brother, the hard part with that is just getting all the photos and the video together. And then once actually putting it together, about a day. So about 2 days, one day just getting everything around, and then about one day actually putting it all together. So yeah, it's I wouldn't even call it work. It was kind of fun to do. Obviously they deserve it. I mean, once in a lifetime season. So tried my best to commemorate it as best I could.
Well, Matt's in the video production business as well, and I don't know if you had a chance to see it, Matt, but a couple things, maybe you're shortchanging yourself a little bit. I mean, when you hit the one shining moment thing, and then the band and the horns play, you got a clip of the band, man. It was perfect timing. And then you also,
that's what's kind of easy about a one shining moment is it's all very literal with the lyrics for the most part. The ball is tipped. You're running for your life. Like if you watch the one shining moments from the past, they keep it pretty literal to the lyrics with what you actually see in the imagery.
What's the one line? The beat of your heart is always
So
they show someone crying and
pounding his chest. That's So that's and that song does all the work. It's nothing I did, man. It's such a great song.
Not necessarily inside baseball, but Jared, you know this too. I don't know if this is your method. I don't want to speak for you, but most people, once you edit or produce videos for a while, you start with the music and then you edit off of the music. You can have all the pictures, the video and all that kind of stuff, but it wouldn't make sense to edit your montage or your video together and then put music on it because it wouldn't time out right. It wouldn't feel right. So you find your track. Obviously, Jared, you already had one shining moment. You find your music track, one that connects with you, one that hits, and then you kind of edit off of that and you put everything together, and then it works. Once you figure out some of those things, like you said, it takes time. I'm not trying to say it does not take time because it does, but it goes a lot smoother.
Yeah,
I just know some people would be like, yeah, edit it together and then just throw music on there. And I'm like, it's not going to work. It's not going to feel right.
That was something I like. You're exactly right. Basically, what you do is you start like all the calls, all the audio, from news stations and stuff. You lay that all down with the music before you ever lay a single shot of the actual video. Makes it go a lot faster. That was something I didn't learn until about a year into this business, where one of our old producers, Alex AZee, would do that with the audio first. And I thought it was like the craziest thing. I'm like, it just feels backwards when you first learn that's kind of how you should do it. But then once you start doing it, you realize how much quicker you can edit the actual video once you have the entire audio laid down. So you're exactly right. That's how you do it.
Yeah, well, I was very impressed, Jared. I thought it was really well done. It was even cool when you perfectly timed the team on the bus singing "One Shining Moment." Some of the lyrics matched right up.
Well, we got your calls in there too, which, as you said, it's difficult to do that, not live. So I got your voice in there a few different times. So thanks for that.
I heard that. Thanks, man. And by the way, congrats to Coach John Fattel. I mean, the awards keep coming. Just named Detroit News All-State Dream Team Coach of the Year. How about that? Pretty well
cool.
done.
I mean, they all I saw Wilson was M Live Player of the Year, and then Tristan Comer, the center, he was first team All-State. So I mean, they should clean. I don't know what the official tally was, but they should probably clean up in terms of the all-conference category, the all-area, and then obviously a few different all-state mentions as well.
For sure.
Yeah, that's a season of a lifetime, like you said.
All right. Well, that gets us caught up to date on the Fattel family. So let's move on and take a little break and get into our interview with Brian Maloney of Sonic Detroit right after this. Well, we have a special for you on Tedertainment Tonight. We're joined by the founder of Sonic Detroit, Brian Maloney. And Brian, first of all, welcome to the podcast. And let's start right at the beginning. Give us a little background on your career in rock radio and where we're at right now.
Well, I grew up in Detroit, which was a great city to grow up in if you love rock and roll. And I went to a place called Specs Howard School of Broadcast Arts, which used to advertise a lot on Detroit radio. And I signed up at 17. I graduated at 18. And I got into radio ever since. I knew when I was 7 years old that I wanted to be on the radio and be in radio and play music. And spent 40 years traveling the country, programming radio stations. Realized I couldn't make any money in the programming side, so I went to the dark side and got into the business side of it, and then spent the last 30 years running like major clusters of radio, TV, and digital entities. So I retired and started Sonic Detroit as a hobby, which has since blown up quickly. Not shocking, just because of the appetite for rock and roll in Michigan.
Well, you know, I go back to the 70s and 80s, and Detroit, I think, had maybe the premier rock stations in the country. I mean, there were so many of them. But what I like about your station, Brian, is the fact I just came across it on Facebook one day, and I said, I got to give this a little listen, you know. And I listened to it for a couple days, and I go, damn, this is the stuff I used to just totally listen to all the time. And I think in my correspondence with you, you know, I got my first taste of concerts at Cobo Arena, Uriah Heep, 1973. And that's where it all started. And it kind of took me to the dark side, too, of my concert going years, if you know what I'm talking about. If I remember them, I could tell you, but I don't remember them, to put it that way.
Well,
so I did it right.
Yeah, you sure did. You know, Cobo was just such a landmark for rock and roll in the 70s. And so many bands like wanted to come to Detroit to play Detroit. And if they were able to, they record sets. You know, some great live albums recorded at Cobo, Journey, and of course Live Bullet, which just celebrated 50 years of being released. So
Kiss.
Yeah, what a Kiss. Yeah. I mean, Yes, I think recorded some stuff. Right. Peter Frampton recorded an album at Pine Knob. There's some stuff out there from the Grande Ballroom. And Jarrett and Matt are probably like, what the hell are you guys talking about? I don't remember any of this stuff.
Not necessarily. I mean, we'll get into it a little more, but my parents, you know, Ted's generation, classic rock people too, they grew up in Flint, Michigan. So, I mean, I grew up on classic rock also. So every band you're throwing out there, I know all about. I have this is just a very specific logistical question, I guess.
Yeah.
How do you get the rights to all the music? Do you have to pay for all the rights, or, you know, there has to be some, I guess, some business involved in that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It is my biggest expense is paying music royalties. So we have to pay royalties for everything we play. And, you know, I just write the check every month and it gets divided up. I'm not in charge of that, but it's not cheap. But, you know, look, the artists should be paid. They deserve to be paid. This is their work. So I'm all for paying them. And just eventually we'll get some sponsors to help underwrite it.
Right.
Sorry about the camera here, guys, but
so there is you have to pay for the rights. I wasn't sure with an online streaming platform if there was almost like a loophole, like you could get by the rights or something like that. Okay.
No, there's no loopholes, unfortunately.
Okay.
But like I said, you know, it's the artists deserve it. It's their work.
For sure.
So.
What made you want to start this this page and this radio station? What exactly is the genre and type of music that I guess you're providing that maybe isn't out there in other places? How would you describe that?
That's a good question. You know, the station Sonic Detroit, which is available on a free app you can download anywhere, iOS or Android. The station is rooted in the classic rock era of the 1970s Detroit. So Ted will remember that. That's where the foundation of the format came from. And I realized two things. One, traveling all over the country in my career, that you know, I talk to people like, oh man, we rock here in Wyoming. I'm like, where are you from? Now I'm like, well, I'm from Detroit. And they're like, oh, okay, you guys, Detroit Rock City, right? Yeah. So I realized the great appreciation and how special Detroit is when it comes to rock and roll. And then I realized, like, the stuff that we're playing just got completely thrown on the rug by, as I call them, the suits of Wall Street.
Corporate.
I mean, they came in and gutted these radio stations and, you know, just stripped all the good stuff away because they claimed people didn't want to hear it. And, we now have evidence otherwise because we've had thousands of downloads just in 5 weeks of the Sonic Detroit app. So
why?
Well, it's
Go ahead, question.
Jared.
Why is it called? Honestly, I probably should look it up. Why is Detroit even called Detroit Rock City?
I think that's a really good question. I tried to find the answer to that, but I think it came out, the whole Kiss song, Detroit Rock City. And then there was a movie called Detroit Rock City. And it just kind of got that moniker or whatever. And it kind of stuck. So.
Well, like you said, I'm a longtime Detroit rock guy, and I was really bummed out when Cleveland got the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I mean, it belongs in Detroit, man. You start with Motown and the other great artists and the way they love their rock and roll. What do you think it is, Brian, that Detroit rock fans, especially back in the day, just totally grabbed on to rock radio?
I don't think I could put my finger on one thing. I think the fact that we had 4 album rock radio stations in Detroit in the 1970s was huge. I mean, that was unheard of to have 4 rock and roll radio stations in one city, and we did in Detroit. And they were good radio stations, really good and really good on-air talent. So I think that kind of fueled the fire. And then, man, Detroit, it's just the history's there, man. The grit. People would always ask me, like, oh, what's Detroit like? And I'm like, it's rock and roll, it's sports, and it's cars. I mean, there you have it, man. And so I don't know. It just, the bands love playing here. And, Matt and Jarrett, the fact that these bands that we're talking about, it gets passed down from generation to generation. So, and let's hope that doesn't stop.
No, the music is timeless. And, I grew up, I call myself a 90s kid. I'm the millennial of the three of us. I was born in 84. I have 2 younger kids, and I think of my childhood growing up listening to the classic rock, and I still listen to it now. I think that it's music that will live on. And, I think about the music I grew up with, and I'm like, I'm not sure if a lot of this I would necessarily play for my kids, maybe until they're older, certain songs and stuff like that. Just, the music changed over time, like it obviously always does. But I wanted to ask you about like the concert scene. You talked about how Detroit was a staple for every tour would stop in Detroit. My parents grew up in Flint, like I mentioned. And they would always mention that Flint used to be a stop for most big acts, whether it was at IMA or on their way to Detroit or Chicago. They would stop in Flint also. And I remember stories my parents would tell me. I remember like at the IMA, or I remember there was one called Sherwood Forest. They would talk about is in like Davison, and the stories they would tell, like tickets would be, I mean, you guys remember tickets would be like a couple bucks, and you would just walk in. And I remember them saying like there would just be a table out with just like cups full of drinks or, beer, you just walk up and grab it. Not the $20 drinks that you have to buy at venues now. $250 tickets. You have to get on a waiting list and have 9 browsers open just to try and get a ticket. And, just the concert scene in general has dramatically changed. I don't know if in a good way or bad way, I don't know. I guess that's debatable. Ted even talks about how, like you used to save your ticket stub. Now you just get your ticket on your phone. And, that was a big part. Can you just talk about maybe in your opinion, your thoughts on how the concert scene has just changed in general?
Yeah, I mean, Ted probably remembers bringing kegs into Pine Knob.
Yes.
I know you did not do that, Ted, but there were some people misbehaving and bringing rolling kegs into Pine Knob, and also those little hibachis that were popular in the 70s. People used to bring that. And then they got smart. They're like, wait a minute, man, we could sell beer and hot dogs and stuff. And so that kind of changed it. But yeah, Detroit has always been just a huge, huge city for live rock shows. One of the features we do on Sonic Detroit every weekday is called Sonic Set List.
Love it.
And I go back to a show, hopefully on the very date that it happened, and revisit it. So I've been doing a lot of research, and the amount of shows, I mean, every day there was a rock show in the city of Detroit over the years. Unbelievable. And one of the things that I noted in doing the research for the Sonic Set List is how these bands would roll into town, and they don't do this anymore. They would set up shop and do 2 or 3 nights at Cobo or Olympia or Pine Knob. Artists would come there and play 3 or 4 nights in the summer. And they don't do that anymore. They come, they play a night, they move on. And I'm not sure why that is, but yeah, Detroit's always. And then we talked about earlier of course, the live albums that were recorded here. People wanted to capture that energy of Detroit in the live recordings.
Is there a certain live performance that really sticks out to you that's been performed in Detroit that you think is maybe the best?
Well, I think Live Bullet has to be the gold standard. I mean, which just celebrated on April 12th, 50 years of being released. But that album really, and then I would have to say after that, probably Kiss Alive, although while recorded in Detroit, the overdubs and post-production on that album were pretty heavy. So I don't know how much of what you're hearing was actually recorded at Cobo that night in 75, but yeah.
Is it safe to say Bob Seger is the #1 rock performer out of Detroit, following his career at the beginning to where it became national?
I was going to say, was it the Turn the Page version that you hear? The famous one was recorded at Cobo Hall too. Wasn't it?
Yeah. That whole album was recorded at Cobo. I would say Seeger's probably up there. Alice Cooper, is still going strong. Ted Nugent. There's been so many, but Grand Funk Railroad. I would say Seeger is probably our flagship for the state, no doubt.
Since you brought up Grand Funk, it's unbelievable they're not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It just blows my mind.
Yeah, they were. It's really shameful because here's a band that frickin' sold out Shea Stadium faster than the Beatles did.
Yes,
and they were playing stadiums. They were the biggest rock and roll band in America in the early 70s from Flint, Michigan. And what the hell, man? I talked to Mark Farner last year, and I could tell Mark was still a little disappointed, A, that they weren't in the Rock Hall, and B, that they're not together anymore.
Yeah.
But,
I'm sure Ted might have mentioned to you in your correspondence before the podcast. We had Mark Farner on the podcast. It's been 4 or 5 years ago now. It was a while ago. That was a really cool conversation.
Oh yeah.
I went and saw down here. PNC Pavilion is basically here in Charlotte is like the Pine Knob of here in Charlotte. And I went and saw Luke Combs. It was his first time headlining PNC. He's kind of a hometown guy. He's from North Carolina. That was a really cool show. It kind of reminded me of that would have been like peak Pine Knob, that scene. Yeah. But I went and saw Bob Seger when he came and played at PNC also, and Grand Funk Railroad opened for him. And I didn't know that at the time. Obviously Mark Farner, he was not there, but it was interesting because, I grew up on listening to Grand Funk and Bob Seger. So seeing them perform live was really cool.
Yeah, Seger was. I saw him here in Raleigh several years ago, and I remember walking out of the arena here, and people were just shaking their head. They were like, "Wow, that was a really good rock and roll show, just fabulous, all the way till the end for Bob."
Yeah, I drove down to Greenville, South Carolina, and saw him one time too. It was one of those things. It was his final tour. I was like, I've got to see him a couple times before he hangs it up. One more for me. I don't know if the other guys, and maybe I have another one. I don't know if it comes up, but I wanted to ask you, a hot topic right now is Coachella. Coachella is probably like the biggest music festival. There's a few, but I just wanted to ask you, we can be the old people yelling at the clouds or something like that. Jared used to go to Faster Horses with his buddies, so we would always get a boots on the ground review of Faster Horses. But Coachella has got, kind of along the lines of my concert question, how things have changed. The music, like Justin Bieber's there, and there's some really big acts going to Coachella. The music is really good, but it's become such a social media thing and like influencers, and it's more about it's more about other stuff than the music, than the artists and stuff like that. And I'm curious your thoughts on how, because I grew up going to the Warped Tour, in the late 90s, early 2000s, before social media and cell phones really like exploded, where you just went for the music and to have a good time. So I'm just curious your thoughts on all that.
Well, Coachella is, evolved and morphed and everything like that. And I think these big festivals have actually turned into a brand. And you make an excellent point. It's a brand that you want to be seen at if you're an influencer and post the social videos. And, you know, they sell deep into sponsorships for alcohol and Visa and MasterCard and all these other things. So it really has changed. I also think the lineups have gotten really diverse. So, you know, Justin Bieber was at Coachella last weekend, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Headliner.
So was Iggy Pop. And so was Jack White. And so you just got this collection of just diversity, which I do think is really good because you're turning people on that are 17 years old to Iggy Pop and they like it. You know? So
Did you see if maybe you did, maybe you didn't, but don't ask me why I know this, but Justin Bieber, basically his set, he essentially just pulled up YouTube videos of his songs and sang them while he was like sitting and kind of a laid back type. What do you think of that? As somebody who's a rock and roll fan, is that like making your skin crawl to think about that type of
man, I don't like lip syncing. I don't like backing tracks. I don't like AI music or anything like that. I mean, it's when you get out there, you got to play live. You know, Jack White, I mean, holy shit, that guy is just on fire playing live. Yeah, I mean, I'm just not into the lip sync and backing track and stuff like that.
What was the first concert you attended, and then maybe what's your favorite you've ever gone to?
Oh, that's a good question. I think probably the first concert I ever went to, like with my parents, was like John Denver. Was John? Who's laughing?
He's got a Country Roads is a good one.
That's all right. John Denver. No, it was actually a good show. It was John Denver, like Gordon Lightfoot and Bob Dylan. It was like the Storyteller Night.
The Troubadours
Night in Olympia. Yeah. But the first rock show was Johnny and Edgar Winter at Cobo in '76.
Wow.
And the best show, man, I don't know. I've seen so many. I really don't know how to answer that. I love live music, man. It's rock and roll without a net is fun to watch.
Yeah. What was it like when you were working as an in studio guy? You know, working in the business. You know, did you have anybody drop in for interviews, that type of thing?
Yeah. That was you know, again, growing up at 7, knowing I wanted to get into radio, and at 17 in radio, and then like, I remember sitting there. 20 years old, I was in Lansing at this rock station Q106 or something, playing music, and think, man, I got it made. I'm talking to Sammy Hagar at 2:00. Eddie Money's dropping by at 3:00, and I got to talk to a lot of people: Elton John, Axl, Slash, you know, Cyndi Lauper, and gosh, so many. Rick Derringer, Eddie Money. Yeah, it was good stuff.
Talk about dropping some names there. I do actually.
I know, right?
one did pop up for me. I'm curious. We've talked about, so Ted worked in sports radio. We told you for you know, the bulk of his career, calling play-by-play for high school football, and we always talk about like how cool it is to still have that, because you know that, I guess, the small local stations calling high school sports has kind of started to go away a little bit. The town that we grew up in had a newspaper that we all loved reading, and, you know, reading the sports section and stuff like that. That's changed quite a bit over the years. I'm curious your thoughts on, like you said, the Q106s. I remember 102.5 being a station I grew up listening to, and there's, you know, the stations in Detroit that are still around. Can you just talk about, I mean, Sirius XM obviously is a thing, and that's, you know, that's a big deal, but like just the local radio stations, is that something you think, you hope hangs on for a long time, or how do you think it's all going to change?
I think they've given up. I mean, I hate to see it, man. You know, 4 decades in it, a lot of talent and good things, but I really think they've given up because I haven't seen any innovation in radio in the past 7 to 10 years.
Yeah.
God bless people that do high school football. Keep it up. You know, it's community. The kids go out there and they play. They deserve to be covered. But I think radio's really facing tough times right now. You know, and like I said, the biggest thing that bothers me. What do you think, Ted? I mean, you spent time in radio. I just get the sense they've given up because I haven't seen them try anything new.
Yeah, but well, it's pretty tough, Brian. That's for sure. I think the key for local radio is local and live, you know. I mean, they got to have local sports, local news, that type of thing. Yeah, mix in the music mix, but if somebody really wants to listen to music specifically, they're going to go to Sirius XM, or they're going to go to Sonic Detroit. You know, they're going to download an app and listen to what they want to hear. But I think there'll always be a place for radio, but I agree with you. The big time stations, they've given up the whole corporate thing, and it's when you tune into them, it's like nonstop commercials, and then they mix in a song, and then nonstop commercial, then mix in a song.
I'm curious to ask the millennial and Jared. What are you, Jared? If
technically, I think a Gen Z.
Gen Z.
Okay, so the millennial and Gen Z radio. What do you think of it? Go
ahead,
it
Jared.
was huge when, I mean, honestly, what I think maybe hurt it a lot was cars started getting, aux cord, and where you could just plug your phone right in and listen to it that way. But I mean, up until probably high school, which 2016, 2017, that was what I listened to mostly. It was just radio. 96.5 was the big radio station where we're at. I don't know if radio stations have necessarily gone away. To me, why don't we just pivot it more to your iPhone, where it's not, I guess, dialing it in on your car radio. So I still think if there's good radio stations and good radio hosts, more importantly, so Howard Stern, he used to do it on Sirius, correct? Now is he still on Sirius?
He's still on Sirius. In fact, he was in Detroit radio at one time, W4.
Yeah. So right. I mean, I would still consider that basically. I mean, obviously, it is still radio, but I don't know. Podcasts are just another form of radio to me. I think it's just under a different name.
Yeah. Yeah, my answer would be similar. I still like listening in the morning when I'm taking the kids to school or doing whatever in the morning. The local radio morning show. I still like listening to.
Okay, good for you, man.
Station here in Charlotte, I like because you get a little local news, kind of like what Ted said. You get a local information and flavor or whatever. I think the show that airs on the station, it's not here in Charlotte. It's I don't know if you call it simulcast or whatever, but no, I think there's still a place for local radio for sure.
I also think to a certain degree, I'm curious to hear what Ted thinks of this. To a certain degree, radio talent was exposed. And when I say that, once technology changed where anybody could host a radio show or a podcast or edit videos or shoot videos and become a social media influencer, that changed the game, man. It used to be only, you had to be on the radio to be an influencer or a personality or TV. Yeah. Not anymore. I mean, look at what you guys have done with the podcast and stuff like that. These opportunities didn't exist. And to a certain extent, there are some in the radio business that did not keep up with it, with the talent, and they got lapped, with technology. So.
Yeah. No, you bring up a good point because, I am a dinosaur, but you got to move with what's going on. That's like you said, that's why we started this podcast. This really evolved from a radio show that we were doing. Matt was a special guest on it every week from ESPN, and Jared was an intern when we started out. And we said, hey, podcasting, that seems to be the big thing. Let's start it. And we've been doing it strong since 2017. We're over 400 episodes now, and and it's an eclectic mix. What's nice about podcasting is here we are talking to you. We're mainly a sports oriented podcast, but we do mix in pop culture and like we call it Tedertainment Tonight. But it's a whole mix of things because people have different things that they're interested in. So we don't want to be just boring Detroit Tigers or Detroit Red Wings every week. Everybody talks about that, but it's fun. It's fun. And again, I want to get back to your station. Tell us the best way, tell our listeners the best way to maybe check it out, especially if they're classic rock fans, to tune in.
Yeah, man, I think you really will like it. We've gotten just tremendous amount of feedback, positive feedback. You can download the free app. So wherever you get your apps, iOS, Android versions, we're also available on Alexa. You can just say, Alexa, enable Sonic Detroit. And then also on our website, the old-fashioned way, sonicdetroit.com, sonicdetroit.com. Give it 30 minutes, man. I think you will be impressed. We have very limited interruptions, and just some really good music. So
Yeah, and I love your noon feature with the whole concert set list thing. That really sucked me in, to tell you the truth.
oh, cool.
You can
Yeah.
go online, and I've done it for many of the concerts that I went to. Like I said, I can't remember those concerts, but I tune into the set list back in the day, and I go, oh, they played that one, and you're probably using the same thing and then putting your music together based off that, aren't you?
Yeah, I love it, man. Doing the research. I like to research the weather from that date in 1978. So it was cloudy 45 as you headed to Masonic to see Jethro Tull, and again, this is something you could not do 15, 20 years ago. We didn't have the internet to get this research, so it's like, well, hell yeah. Everybody likes to talk about what shows they saw when they were growing up.
For sure.
So.
Well, the nostalgia is huge with music. That's for sure.
It really is.
And sports.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, you mentioned it too. You can listen to the corporate classic rock stations. You're going to hear the same playlist over and over and over again. But what you're featuring, album-oriented rock, which is what I grew up on and I love. You get the deep cuts. You get maybe some of the songs that people don't hear every day. That's what it's all about, brother.
Yeah. Dig it. I really appreciate you checking it out. And hope.
All right. Well, listen, we appreciate you taking the time. We'll definitely keep your number handy. If there's any big event like the current rock and roll inductees, I have another bone up my butt for that one as well.
Yeah.
The whole rock and roll Hall of Fame. Come on, let's just call it the Music Hall of Fame. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's not Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, for God's sakes.
And as we said, I'm still pissed Cleveland got it. So
me too, bro.
I haven't gotten over that yet.
All right, Brad. Hey, we really appreciate the time. Keep rolling. And,
all right, man.
Any of our listeners, check it out. Sonic Detroit. Thanks again.
There you go, man. See you guys.
Love it.
Keep up the good work.
Hey, thanks, man. Brian. Appreciate it, man.
Well, guys, that was some fun stuff with Brian there. I mean, you guys know, and we all like music and classic rock, but he definitely knows his stuff, doesn't he?
Yeah, you can tell. You could get him talking. Well, radio people, they got to be able to talk, that. But then you get him talking about music, and that's right up his alley. So that was a really cool conversation. I'll be checking out the station for sure.
What would you say your favorite venue is, Ted, in Detroit?
My favorite venue of all time was Cobo Arena. I mean, that might be a little bit nostalgic, but that was the first concert I ever went to. But currently, my favorite is, and it's a close second to Cobo anyway, is Pine Knob. Pine Knob is the place, man.
So that's one thing. So your answer right there, that's one thing we were all firing questions. It was one thing I was going to ask. So you're saying Cobo, Pine Knob, but shows at Ford Field and Little Caesars are pretty cool. But like, is it the nostalgia that makes Pine Knob and Cobo better? Or think about the sound at Ford Field and LCA. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty cool.
It is. I just think the whole atmosphere, like I'll zoom in on Pine Knob. I mean, when you go there, it's just everybody is in a great mood. You got the people that sit up on the lawn, they got their weed going, they're just enjoying the music. And then they got the nice pavilion, and the sound at Pine Knob is not bad at all. Right. I will say the worst sound at a concert I ever went to, and it's one of the most famous concerts in Detroit, was 1976 at the Pontiac Silverdome, and Led Zeppelin played, to like 70,000 people. The acoustics were absolutely horrendous.
Yeah.
I mean, we were dodging M80s being thrown from up above. I mean, it was just crazy, but the acoustics in Silverdome was just terrible. Yeah, and they've come a long way there.
Yeah.
Like Ford Field, you said, I mean, the sound system is incredible.
So it's more the environment. Like you said, the environment at Pine Knob is what takes the cake.
Yeah, it's totally the environment. I mean, I went to a lot of concerts up at Saginaw Civic Center is what it was called in the day. And that also was a neat little venue, because I think it only held like 8,000 people, and probably one of my favorite concerts of all time was one that was more recent. We were talking to him about Bob Seger, but I've told you guys the story before. I'm on the road in like Toledo, Ohio, and I get a call from my wife. She says, "Hey, Ted, my girlfriend has front row tickets to Bob Seger at Saginaw. Can you make it?" I said, "Hell yes, I'm cutting this sales call short. I'll meet you up there."
Yeah.
And truly sat in the front row at a Bob Seger concert. I mean, that's probably an all-timer in my life.
Awesome.
Right there.
How did you just pee your pants?
No, I was a little too old. Well, I'm not too old for that.
I was
I
gonna
guess now.
say,
That's because I've had to I stood front row for Faster Horses, and maybe that's just because that was like whatever, it's 4 or 5 hours. Like I
Right.
seriously had to just leave the concert. I couldn't do it. It was a blessing and a curse.
I have heard of older people and younger people attending these marathon type of concerts with Depends, just for that reason.
Yeah.
Or just peeing on the ground. That's where it gets disgusting. People
Not
just
for
peeing
me.
on the
That's
ground.
not for me, man. I'm past those days.
Yeah.
All right, that segment there with Brian Maloney, that was a lot of fun, and we'll get into some sports right after this. All right, guys, do we want to start? The big story most recently was the Masters, and Rory McIlroy won by 1 stroke. But I know, Jared, you had some things you wanted to talk about with the Masters tournament.
Yeah, let's maybe say that I just had a brief, what I like to call history according to Rod segment.
Okay.
Just on, I listened to an audiobook this summer about the Masters and more importantly, Clifford Roberts, who kind of started it. So I'll talk about that in a second once we maybe talk about the actual Masters itself this year. Rory, I mean, I don't like Rory, if I'm being honest. I don't know what it is about him, but it's hard to ignore how good he's been. I mean, best golfer in my lifetime behind Tiger. And really, I'd even say Tiger was basically done by the time I was, 10 years old. So the last 15 years, Rory McIlroy has been the guy. So it was amazing to see him win back-to-back.
You put him above Phil?
I would. Yeah. Honestly, I would. I mean, I think he has one more major than Phil now. I believe Phil has 5. He has 6. If I could be wrong on that, but Fred Couples said it best after Friday when Rory fired off the 6 under round. Like after last year when he got that monkey off his back, like he might not ever lose this again. He just the way he drives the ball.
Phil has 6, by the way.
Oh, okay. Does Rory have 6? Are they tied?
Yeah,
okay.
They tied. Yep.
So basically Rory's driving on the ball is just insane. Like you saw it on that 18th tee, which everybody's complaining about the coverage. From my understanding, it sounds like maybe the Masters like fired like 4 or 5 camera guys this weekend because they were selling their tickets on the secondary market or something. I don't know if that's true or not, but a lot of people were complaining about the coverage this weekend. I think it was just bad luck. Other than the very last putt, I don't understand why they had that shot where it was his back, and then they cut to a shot of his face after he made the putt. Why didn't they just have that shot the whole time? I don't know. But Rory McIlroy, man, I think he's about to really kind of rip off a solid 5 years where he's going to add a few more majors to his name. He's pretty incredible.
It is crazy because you say that, and he had that drought. Because people, when he won his first few majors, that was already like 10 years ago or whatever. And people were saying exactly what you're saying. Oh, he's about to go on a 5, 6 year, 7 run, win every major. And then he didn't win a major for like 10 years or whatever the drought was. And then now, you're wondering if this second chapter of his career, I guess, if this is going to open up he's got the career Grand Slam. He's won every major. Now he's won back-to-back Masters. He's one of 4 guys to ever do that, which is kind of crazy to think about. First one since Tiger. Is he about to go on some crazy run and just rip off a bunch of majors? Maybe, but there's a lot of really good golfers too. So, I mean, not to say when Tiger was doing his thing, there weren't other good golfers because there was Phil Mickelson and other guys, but there's a lot of really good golfers out there. So I'll be curious. Rory is kind of like, it is almost not necessarily like you either love him or hate him. It does seem like a lot of people just don't, like when Tiger was at his peak, everyone loved Tiger for the most part. Even when guys like Jordan Spieth and there were some other ones that had their moments, people just like enjoyed watching them. I do hear a lot of people say they don't like watching Rory play. I don't know if it's just the way he carries himself or something, but I've always liked him. He's fun to watch.
He's confident.
Right. Oh, for sure. Yeah, the way he walks. He walks with a confidence, that's for sure.
Yes, he does.
He like walks on his tippy toes. It's kind of bizarre.
He's got that little bounce in his step.
Yeah. The thing that was people I think were like, I just don't understand the pushback on this. Basically, he said something along the lines he didn't want to play in any of the Texas tournaments or the Phoenix Open, which he clearly hates the Phoenix Open. He hates that type of environment. Like with there's even a video of him like ripping some guy's phone and just keeping it. I don't understand how he did that. Wouldn't that be a crime? Was that
at the Ryder?
I'm not sure. Honestly, I don't know where it was. That's probably the Ryder. I don't understand how you can just grab some guy's phone and just like keep it. Like how is if I did that, I'm sitting in a jail cell. So I don't know. But Rory, to me, what people were complaining about was he was flying, private. He had the famous quote where he said, I'd drop off my kid at work and then I'd fly privately to Augusta, play around, and then fly back for dinner. Like, people are upset about that. I don't understand why. I don't know why more players aren't doing this. I think a lot of players are doing this. He just isn't getting the scrutiny. I guess is because of how he worded it, where he basically said, I fly there on a plane every day, which is pretty insane to think about. But if you want to win this tournament, why would you not? That just seems obvious to me. Like, you should be playing it, pretty much every day the month leading up to the Masters. I don't understand why that was a big deal.
And if you have the money to do it and access to a private jet, who am I to say you shouldn't be doing that?
Yeah. And it's hard work, but it was 4 days work and he got $4.5 million.
Yeah.
I
did see crazy. I don't know, Jared, if you remember the specifics. Shane Lowry. So he was within a few shots going into the final day in position to win like 2.5 million or something like that. And he shanked away Sunday and dropped down to, he still won like a couple $100,000. But it's just crazy to think, like, you think all these golfers are just rich. You just think they're all rich because they're out there professional golfers, but you can lose a lot of money. I mean, Rory, 4 days of work, won $4 million. Pretty good. I mean, but he won the Masters. But like, you think about some of those guys that drop out, or DeChambeau missing the cut. I mean, he probably didn't. I don't know. Do you still make money if you miss the cut?
The Masters is the only tournament where they still pay you, I think, $10K.
Right. So I mean, $10K. He's out there with his 3D printer 7-iron or whatever it was, So anyway, you can lose a lot of money too. You can win a lot, but you can lose a lot.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned Shane Lowry. A couple of my buddies bet on him to win heading into Sunday. I think he was like 6 over through like he was dead immediately, out of contention right away. I don't know if you guys saw this guy. I mean, a lot of people were complaining we didn't see how this guy imploded on the telecast, but Haitong Lee. I mean, dude, he was at 7 under, had like a 5-footer for birdie to go to 8 under to be like one behind the lead. Next thing you know, 2 holes later, he's got like a 6 and a 10, and he was
up in a tree,
like literally like an eight stroke swing, and he went from like T3 to like literally like 20th place, like in 2 holes. So that's kind of the fun part about the Masters. Did you guys have a problem with the coverage? A lot of people are complaining about, like, Kevin Kisner was a famous one. He's saying now, they need to show more live shots. Like, none of this is live. The fact that the Masters, there's no phones allowed, like, unless you're really following on the app, like, there's not really any way to know what's happening didn't already happen, like if you're just watching on your TV. So I have no problem. I think they do a good job. It's the perfect amount of shots, the perfect flow. I love the Masters coverage. Yeah, they kind of blundered the 18th hole, but that was more so just a anomaly. It was just such an insane couple shots that kind of screwed them. And then, like I said, the last putt, I don't know if there was really an excuse for that, but they usually do such a good job that it's okay to – mistakes happen, especially in live TV. So it is what it is. But I didn't have too much problem with it.
No, I mean, the Masters, CBS, even ESPN's coverage on Thursday and Friday, I think ESPN does a good job.
A nice job.
Yeah, Van Pelt and Rutledge and, the other people, Andy North. I think ESPN does a good job. But CBS, I feel like, is the standard when it comes to covering golf. I mean, they just do so good. I would think the Masters has every camera angle possible, especially on the 18th green. But sometimes you just don't have the right shot. And if depending on where the ball is and Rory's setting up for a putt, it was weird. I was thinking, why are they shooting his back? We want to see his face, but maybe they just didn't have the right shot for that final putt, so I did think that was kind of weird, but no, people find stuff to complain about with everything, I think CBS does a fantastic job.
I was fine with it. And I think that's Nance's best sweet spot, man. Calling golf. That's his expertise to me. Over NFL.
He's amazing. There is no Masters without him. Or I mean, there is, but it'll be a tough shoes to fill for whoever does take that over one day. I still think he wants to go like another 11, or like he wants to call 51 Masters, because I think it would be the 100th Masters he wants to call in like 10 years, basically.
10 years, yeah.
So he's going to be here for a while, which is great.
Good.
He definitely, you could tell from his tone somewhat he wasn't happy with the coverage on 18. It was a bit jarring, that last putt. It's like, because for a second you're like, did he like miss that like 1 inch putt?
Yeah, it was kind of blocked.
See it drop. It was like, I don't know. It was kind of bizarre, but the Masters. Where would you guys say the Masters ranks in terms of like bucket list events to attend? To me, it's behind a Lions Super Bowl. It's number 2, and even just a casual Super Bowl. I think I'd rather go to the Masters than just whatever Panthers versus 49ers Super Bowl. To me, it's number 1.
It's up there. I don't know if I would say number one, but it's definitely a bucket list. I know, Ted, you've said the same thing. We've talked about this before. Definitely a bucket list. I've heard people say that sometimes it's more fun to go to like the Tuesday or the par 3, go to those early days because you get a little more access to the course and to the players. But man, to be there on a Sunday, especially if it was like Rory last year or when Tiger won it, a few years ago, his last Masters, probably maybe his last Masters ever that he's going to win. Days like that would be pretty awesome. I mean, a Sunday at the Masters would be cool. But I asked Brian about it, like the music festivals becoming like an influencer crowd. Did you guys see all the talk about influencers at the Masters? Like, I don't know if it's the cameraman or other people selling their tickets to influencers, but it becoming, I mean, we know, like you said, Jared, no cell phones at Augusta National, but it's becoming like an influencer thing that's it's turning people off. Like, no, this is the standard when it comes to golf tournament. Get the influencers out of here. Get the influencers out of here.
I was I have a couple of golf hardos as buddies, and I was kind of ribbing them like, man, it's only in a couple of years, it's just gonna be a million OnlyFans girls everywhere on this course, everywhere. Like, dude, no, it's not. It's not. They'll never let that happen. Yeah, I don't know. It's bizarre, man. You want to guard against that. I don't know how you can. But that would
if
be
they have a ticket, right?
Yeah, that's when the mat. Like if there's ever like an influencer suite set up where they have all the merch laid out, and that was another thing people were bitching about was all the merch, like pimento cheese hats and stuff. It is kind of bizarre, but I don't know. Clearly people are wearing it, and clearly people are buying it. Otherwise, they wouldn't be stocking it with that. But yeah, so it just is. It's a unique world that we're in. I don't think the Masters has been fully intercepted by it yet, but it definitely seems like it's coming.
Right. Which will be sad. That is one thing where I become a grumpy old man when I hear that word influencer. It just grosses me out. But that's the way it is, right? In today's day and age. Well, there'll be some influence. Oh, you got more on the Masters.
So I'll just go. I'll move pretty quick. We did one of these history according to Rod segments for the Edmund Fitzgerald in the past. So that one meant
should I step away and go fill my coffee cup?
Feel free to interject with anything we got here. I'm going to go quick here. So this reason I wanted to do this is I was texting with my buddies. Like, I don't think a lot of people realize like truly the dark history of the Masters. Like people say
it's called the Masters. What do people think?
Right. So Clifford Roberts is the creator. And you talk about a guy who's a true like visionary, like kind of an OCD freak. It's this guy. I mean, the uptight rules, the pageantry, even the TV coverage like comes from this guy who passed away in like 1976. So it was Clifford Roberts and Bobby Jones, who's a famous golfer, who kind of co-founded Augusta National Golf Club in 1931. And honestly, Augusta National was broke for like the first 15 years because the Great Depression was kind of lingering at that time.
Yeah, right.
And Clifford Roberts even said like, if I had known how long the Depression was going to last, like we would have never opened up this golf course. To the point where Alistair McKenzie, who actually designed University of Michigan's golf course and Crystal Downs in Michigan, designed Augusta National. He never even got paid for it. Like they had no way to pay him. Basically, they stiffed him pretty hard. He would send like angrily worded messages, email or not emails. I guess it would have been letters back in the day from like overseas in Scotland or wherever the hell he was. And like they would just basically say, "Yeah, we're gonna get it to you. We're gonna get it to you." He died before they ever even paid him for it. But so with Clifford Roberts, he has a dark history. So he basically his whole life, his mother committed suicide when he was like a kid. And then fast forward to Bobby Jones, who was like his best friend, and obviously opened up the course with him. Bobby Jones like deteriorated like super slow when he was older ages, like 80s. Basically, he like couldn't walk anymore. He had to have somebody always helping him. And Clifford Roberts like always was like, I'm never going to let that happen to me. So he suffered a stroke, and basically he finally got healthy enough to where they could transport him. He was in New York. They finally could transport him back to Augusta. Second he got there, nobody even knows how he got to Ray's Creek, or it was actually Ike's Pond, named after Dwight Eisenhower. He goes down there and blew his brains out, just killed himself right on Augusta's course. The maker of Augusta offed himself on Augusta. But the funny thing about it is nobody knows how the hell he got there. He couldn't really walk, couldn't move by himself. Nobody knows how he got down there and how he even did it. So it's like, did he pay somebody to help him? Is there some conspiracy here with how this even went down? Nobody really knows. But it's so pretty dark when you think about it. But there was no other ways that he'd rather, do that than on Augusta's grounds. I guess it's just weird if you were walking by that spot and you're golfing, like, oh yeah, that's where that happened. I don't know, kind of bizarre. But the thing with the Masters is they actually basically it's an entire revenge kick. So when they first opened Augusta National Golf Club, they just wanted it to be a part of the U.S. Open rotation. Come here every 10 years, become a certified course through the USGA. The USGA wouldn't do it. So Clifford Roberts basically said, like, all right, like screw the USGA. Like, I'm going to make a tournament 10 times better than this. So that's exactly what he did. Basically, it started as the Augusta National invite, and then 10 years later became the Masters. Like you said, people think it's because of the slave plantation that was actually at Augusta National, like, in the 1800s before it opened. He claimed it's for the quote unquote masters of golf, come here and you're a master of golf. And that's who we invite. So that's where they claim they get the name. And actually the first green jacket wasn't handed out until 1949 as a way to kind of differentiate the,
well, to be fair, he can say that, but only certain people were invited to play at the course for the longest time. So, it wasn't open to everybody until kind of recently.
1990 is when the first black member was welcome. I think Lee Elder was the first black player to play in like 1975. And you think about like the OCD and how they play, people like the announcers would get yelled at if they say the wrong thing, calling it a mob, not patrons. Like when Lee Elder broke the color barrier for the Masters, basically they had to refer to him not as like the first black player to play in the Masters, but the first person of race. Like they just every little detail about how they're present.
What year were females? Because females weren't even allowed.
Females, I don't know. The first member was Condoleezza Rice in like 2012, I think.
I think you're right. Yeah,
that was even more recently, right?
Yeah, so it is. It definitely has the old timey. There's no denying that. That's for sure.
Right.
Like take this for example. So back in the day, they used to do these what they would call battle royales. So they would have, like black caddies or just like local black kids would come. They'd blindfold them, put them in like a 10-man ring and have them box each other. And they would tape one arm behind their back so they couldn't like defend themselves. It's just basically swinging haymakers. What came of that was this guy named Bo Jack. They're like, wow, this kid's actually pretty good. All the members like funded this guy's boxing career to go up to New York to train. And he ended up becoming lightweight champion of the world, Bo Jack. From this little battle royale thing that they used to do back in the 1940s and 50s. Pretty bizarre, man.
Crazy.
The Champions Dinner. So that was actually started by Ben Hogan in 1952. Basically, it's like, let's have an exclusive club. I don't know if you guys have ever heard this. So when you're watching the telecast, the bird noises, they are entirely fake. It's not real whatsoever. They pipe those in.
They're fake. Are they really?
You've never heard that?
I guess was not. Like professional bird watchers would be watching at home. They go, wait, that bird noise, that bird is not local to Georgia. That bird is from California. Like, so that is basically how it was found out. Is like people at home who know better, like that bird would never be in Georgia.
I've had some friends, a little inside baseball. Some coworkers have worked the Masters, with when ESPN does coverage, and I mean, it's public knowledge now, but especially now, Jared just said it. That's a very specific thing people are told not to talk about. I mean, like if you're in the control room and there's a track for the bird noises, it is like you do not speak about this. Yeah,
you take that to your grave, 100%. I've always thought about that audio guy who does that every year, pipes that up. Yeah, he's taking that to his grave.
I will say that. That's a great feature. It really
it is. Like, and that actually came from this Clifford Roberts guy, dude. He was a TV kind of visionary. Like, why the Masters is as good as it is because of the TV side. So essentially, let me find out what all he did to help. So the first Masters was telecasted in 1959, and basically, CBS, ABC, they all offered him a blank check to televise this event. He said, nope, I just want creative freedom. And that's basically what the Masters has gotten ever since then. Mm-hmm. So like when you look at a scoreboard, the over under, like that is something that came from Clifford Roberts to help easily tell like what the score is. Implementing microphones on tee boxes, that came from him. Nice. Painting the inside of a hole white, that came from him. And like, if you think about Butler Cabin, like MTG or not MTG, is it MTG? No. What was, the Golf Channel guy we had on, not MTG or what was the Michigan Golf Live, MGL.
Michigan Golf Live. Yeah.
He was talking about when he went to the Butler Cabin with his son, like how amazing the TV like setup is in there. So like even back in the 1960s, like they had way more cameras than normally would be advised for a golf tournament. And then he actually said in the Butler Cabin when you're Clifford Roberts, when he handed over the jacket, he said next year this is going to be in color, basically putting CBS like on the spot, like nope, you're going to do this in color next year. And the director for CBS basically said that's like when everything changed. Like he said, quote unquote, It was like walking into the light after a lifetime of darkness. It's still burned into my brain, that first color television. But yeah, speaking of just a few more things, speaking of how he kind of is like OCD about everything. Like I mentioned, like the patrons. So there's a story where an announcer called the group of fans on 18th green one year, like a mob. They banned him from ever broadcasting the Masters again because he referred to the crowd as a mob. So you're supposed to call them patrons. Like even think about sand traps. You're not allowed to call them sand traps. You have to call them bunkers. Like you call it the first nine, not the front nine. Like this guy he thought of everything when it comes to putting together like a prestigious tournament. So honestly, just a pretty amazing world. And then one last thing, and then I'll get to some notable members. So Dwight D. Eisenhower was huge. It is Dwight D. Eisenhower, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Ike, as they call him. So like there's Ike's Pond, which is actually where he shot himself. Is at Ike's Pond. Like he was a diehard member of Augusta National. He loved it there to the point where Clifford Roberts literally handled all of his financials, his like everything. So you just have to wonder what crazy world issues have been solved or swept under the rug at Augusta National. Probably a lot at that golf course. There's the famous Dwight D. Eisenhower tree that actually got taken down by an ice storm in 2014. But basically the story behind that is it's right where not a very good golfer would hit this tree all the time. So Dwight D. Eisenhower said, like, can we tear this damn tree down? Like I keep hitting it. Clifford Roberts said no. And then obviously the ice storm took that down in 2014 eventually. But yeah, so a few of the last thing, and then we can move on. So some of the notable members, it's kind of a bizarre list. I'm curious what if you guys had to guess one person that's a member here, who would you guess?
Donald Trump.
Nope.
He is not?
No, he's not.
Oh, wow. That's surprising.
He's got all of his own courses. I doubt he cares too much. I don't know.
Are any presidents like is George W. Bush or Barack Obama?
Nope. Yeah. So that's what I mean. It's just kind of bizarre. So here's the list of like people that I recognize the name of: Warren Buffett, obviously, Bill Gates, Roger Goodell, Rob Manfred. This is the weirder ones. Eli Manning and Peyton Manning are members. Condoleezza Rice, we mentioned her. Lynn Swan, and then Lou Holtz was a member before he passed away, obviously recently. So just a unique spot. Like you said, obviously, like we've talked about, obviously has some skeletons in the closet, but I think they've done a decent job of rectifying that. And obviously Tiger Woods being as good as he was definitely probably expedited that process a little bit. But yeah, it's just an awesome event, and definitely Clifford Roberts, you don't really hear his name much anymore with it, but the reason it is what it is because of that guy. So
it is cool and unique. And the cell phone thing, I mean, we all use our cell phones, whatever. I'm not trying to act like I don't use my cell phone, but it is really cool to see that event and see the pictures in the video and all the patrons just enjoying the moment, just watching Rory putt or, watching whatever shot and seeing the photos. I saw a side-by-side. It was a photo of Rory winning, all the patrons in the background, just cheering, no phones, zero phones, next to the shot when LeBron James made the basket to become the all-time scoring leader. Literally every fan in the stands had a phone out.
Flashes going off.
Flashes. So it's just great to see the side-by-side. NBA arena, everybody has a phone out.
Yeah, it's
Masters, none.
More places should adopt that, man. I don't know who else you could do it, like where people would.
I mean, a lot of comedians, like I know Dave Chappelle and other comedians, you have to put your phones in a lockbox before you go to your seat. So maybe it's going to become a thing.
Yeah. Well, good little segment there, Jared. I learned a little bit about the Masters, and I would put it probably second on my bucket list behind a Lions Super Bowl. That has to take precedent for sure.
Keep buying those tickets. Keep booking the hotel rooms.
LA next year, man. Tickets are going to be booked.
One thing I didn't say was kind of funny. So think about this. If you win, think about Tiger Woods. When he won in 2019, he had to wear the same exact jacket he got in 1997. I was like thinking about that for me. Like if I won in high school and then I won now, it's like, dude, it would be like the most embarrassing moment. Like it barely would fit on. It wouldn't even fit on me. So I don't know, kind of a weird thing.
They don't give them individual jackets.
Well, it's the same. You get if you win multiple times. So like Rory McIlroy's jacket is the same one he got last year. If you win numerous times, you get that same jacket. So I was thinking, man, if you put on
that is your jacket, right?
Gotcha.
That would be tough. It'd be squeezing into it. So.
I mean, you could probably get it tailored or, something like that.
They definitely do, but it's funny to imagine that they don't. And you just throw it on and also, oh, God, like it's freaking tight, super tight now. But
Well,
Yeah,
this
so
is
that's the Masters.
this is a solid podcast. I'll tell you what, we'll get more into let's say the other hot topics next week. We got the Pistons going to be starting the playoffs on Sunday. Don't know who they're playing yet. They're playing one of the play-in teams, right?
Yeah.
And they're 60-22 on the regular season. Been quite a story. Cade and Duran, just fantastic year. I mean, would you say Thompson's the third piece in that puzzle? You really got to have
I would almost,
a big three.
I think long term, it's Thompson's the second piece. I really think that he's that good.
Oh, Duran had a hell of a year, man, statistically.
I know. Well, if you remember last year, I thought that was maybe where Bickerstaff kind of blundered the series against the Knicks a little bit. Like he was yanking Thompson in and out. I thought Thompson kind of emerged as the second best player in that first round series last year. But we'll see. I'm with obviously Duran had a great year, but I really think that's just how high I think of the Thompson.
Yeah, and you were on top of Thompson early on too when they drafted him. I had big question marks, but he is a solid player, man, and he's a D lockdown type guy.
Oh yeah, both of them, him and his brother are. I mean, they're two of the best defensive players in the league. I think they should be fine whoever they match up with in the first round.
Yeah,
but I think it's good. I mean, Cade got a couple games back in the regular season, then they have this basically week off until their series starts. So I hope. I mean, because we had been saying the only way they're going to make a run is if Cade is healthy. So I hope Cade's full go back to healthy. And I really think everyone is picking either the Celtics or even the Cavs, Knicks. No one's picking the Pistons to win the East. I really think
I like it. They
should be the favorite. Yep.
Amen. Also, we don't have to dwell on it, but the Red Wings miss out on the playoffs again. I mean, just a total collapse on the end of the season. They were first in the Eastern Conference about midway through January and totally collapsed again. I don't know what the answer is.
Might not be the AZee plan. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's insane how it keeps happening. Now it's like it is a legit thing. One, they have the longest playoff drought in the league. And then two, it's been like 3 or 4 straight years where they've collapsed in the second half. It's what is going on during the All-Star break? Are they just like vegging out? And I mean, obviously,
I don't know.
Like, what the hell is going on? Like
now they're getting booed. They're getting booed at LCA. That's not a good sign for Hockey Town to be booing their team, but it's rough.
Rough. Well, and the Tigers, they're almost 20 games in the season, roughly 500. They'll be fun to watch the rest of the year. Hopefully they've turned things around. They got Kansas City this week, and we'll see what happens. One final thing here. Go ahead.
Yeah, real quick. I saw a crazy stat. I don't know if you guys saw it or if so Parker Meadows got hurt, obviously, and Parker Meadows is out for a while, so we might be seeing Javi Baez at center field more.
Yay.
I mean, I knew he played. It seemed like he played better when he was in center field versus shortstop, but I saw someone tweet out. Tigers are 39-14 when he starts in center field and 23-29 when he starts at shortstop. So 20 games over 500 when he starts center field, below 500 when he starts at shortstop. So maybe this is a good thing. You don't want Parker Meadows to get hurt, but maybe Javi being in center field is a good thing.
I think he's better.
Which means more McConaughey at shortstop.
Right.
He's obviously not the defender Meadows is, but he's pretty damn good. I think I'd rather have him in center field than Meadows personally. I know I'm probably in the minority. There's probably some stats that don't make that make sense, but just pure gut, I'd rather have him out there.
Well, he's going to be there for a while because isn't Meadows out for 60 days?
Yeah, 60 days.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. One final thing in our potpourri. Congrats to Langsburg grad Xander Woodruff. He was named first team junior college All-American. That's pretty damn good for a kid from Langsburg, man. So congrats. And he was definitely a great player in high school. All right. Well, we're going to wrap up this podcast. We're going to take one final short break, have our prep spotlight for the week, and get on out of here. All right, guys, I'm going to jump right into it. It is the Prep Spotlight brought to you by Jacobs Insurance Agency, local, independent, and trusted. A couple of shout-outs to Owasso Trojan record-setting athlete. Sophomore Eli Worthington broke the 20-year-old shot put record held by Cam Freeman in a meet at Brandon High School. Eli tossed the put. I don't know if that's how you exactly say it, but he threw that steely thing 58 foot 4 inches, and he's only a sophomore. So going into his junior season, he's going to be an anchor on that football team for the Trojans, and he's got a big future tossing the shot put. Also want to congratulate Trojan baseball player Eden Ackley. He broke the career stolen base record, picking up his 86th 86th bag on April 8th. The previous record was 83 by Nathan Secor. I think he's a follower of our podcast, class of 2002. So congrats to both of those Trojans. And I'll wrap up the prep spotlight with our performance of the week. It's actually a week old. I had it for last week, but didn't get to it. The Owasso Unified Basketball Team recently brought home a state championship at the state tournament held at East Kentwood High School near Grand Rapids. The squad won key games against Howell by 1 and Battle Creek 29-22 at the state tournament. Congratulations, man. That is a great program, that unified program. And Owasso, got to say, they really do it upright. They are very inclusive when it comes to special needs individuals. So well done, state championship for the Trojans.
That's cool.
Yeah, I didn't realize that they have like a tournament for that.
Yeah,
that is cool.
Very, very
Congrats
cool.
to them.
All right, guys, shall we wrap it up? You ready to get out of here?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Well, we are brought to you, as always, by Memorial Healthcare's Wellness Center. Make sure you get in shape with a membership today. Follow the Wellness Center on Facebook. I also want to thank our other great partners. They include AZee Branding Solutions, ALS of Michigan, Blackstone's Public House, Great Lakes Apparel Company, Jacobs Insurance Agency, Kori and Associates Real Estate Services, Nelson House Funeral Homes, Nichols Painting, Success Group Mortgage and Servicing, and the Shiawassee County Fair. I want to thank our special guest, Brian Maloney of radio station Sonic Detroit. Check it out. Free app. Great classic rock and roll. And next week, we should have a fun one as well. We'll wrap up our University of Michigan National Championship conversation with Michigan play-by-play guy, Brian Bush. That'll be on the next podcast right here live, almost, as we put it together. Peace and love, everybody. Be kind. Thanks for listening.